Away.
Put those away now.
Okay.
Okay. We live? Hi everybody. I'll just let you get ready. Materials you'll need for this lesson are pencil, paper, eraser, a ruler just to start off with. We're not going to be using much of a ruler. And I have an optional kind of coloring pencils thing. That's for anyone who doesn't want to do the shading portion. So don't feel obligated to have to do that. And the learning we'll be doing today is we'll be talking about visual balance within a composition. I'm going to show a few shading techniques. And within those shading techniques, I'm also going to be showing how movement through line direction can create the essence of something moving within a picture. And also, I just want to give everyone a heads up on this. Remember to push lightly with your pencil throughout the entire drawing. We're going to be doing a lot of erasing throughout this, just like last time. And when you push hard on your paper, as you know, you're going to leave those indented lines, and you don't want to do that too much. Now that might happen, that's okay. Don't worry about it too much. Now, also, this lesson here is going to be a little more advanced than the last one. It has some challenging components to it, so don't feel too overly frustrated. If you find yourself getting frustrated with it, just stop the video and come back to it afterwards, because I am going to be saving it to my page. So yeah, so don't worry about if you mess up or you need to step away from it for a while. I know sometimes when I'm working, I get frustrated and it's not worth kind of trying to catch up to me. Stop it, come back to it later. It'll be fine. Now I've got my girls here again. Scout, she's 6 years old, and Bella, she's 10. So we both tried it before. It was a bit challenging for them, especially Scout. Although she did an amazing job when she got a little bit frustrated, she kind of took it in her own direction. And I would say for anyone who's finding that with their kids, do the same thing. Step away from it and let them kind of take it from wherever they left off. Okay, so hopefully everyone has their material in front of them and they're ready to go. I'm gonna grab my page. All right, so let's start off with, you're gonna need your paper in a portrait style.
Should probably turn down that music before we start, I think.
Yeah, turn it down a bit.
Might be a bit loud.
Yeah, might be a little bit too loud. All right, so your page is in a portrait style in front of you, which means it's skinny and tall. And I'm gonna get you to take your ruler, and we're gonna find the midway point in our page. We're not gonna draw the horizon there. We want the horizon to be just a little bit higher on our page. So I'm gonna pull my ruler up to about this height. Now remember, the horizon line, we want it to match and be parallel with the tops and bottom of our page. So just line it up as best as you can. Oh. And push very lightly across to give yourself a horizon. Now don't go up too high. Actually, I'm a little bit high there, but I'm gonna leave it. So this line here, the horizon line, this line here is the line that separates the sky from the ground. So our ground is going to be water today, so it's different every time. Ready to rock? All right, now we're going to use our finger spaces. Last time I talked about finger spaces. It's just a unit of measurement. So take your 3 fingers and line them up with our horizon line from the bottom. Take your pencil and just put a little kind of indicating line there, not too hard. That's how much space I want you to have. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna draw another line from one end to the other. But this line here is just gonna be a little bit wavy. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a slight wave in it from one end to the other. Doesn't have to be exactly like mine. You can have one wave in it. You can have a couple waves. Those waves can be a little bit more dynamic if you want. I would advise a slight wave because it works better with this composition. All right.
My hand is so shaky.
You balance it on my shoulder here. All right, so our next step is we're going to put a slightly curved line between the horizon line and that last wavy line that we just did. And it's going to be in the center of our page. So I'll show you here. So I wouldn't get anyone to do anything yet. Just watch me. I'm going to draw a slightly curved line, almost like you'd see in like an emoji with a slight smile. About that size on your page. And remember, it's between your horizon line and the wavy line that you just did. On either edge of these, so almost where the edge of the smile, we're going to carry two lines up above the horizon line. And those lines are going to go a little bit on an angle towards the outside on each side. So this line's going to come up a little bit on an angle just above the horizon line. And this is going to be going the opposite direction above the horizon line.
How we doing, girls?
I was getting frustrated.
She's good.
Okay. And like I said, I might be going too fast for some people, or I might be going too slow, but afterwards you can pause it and play it at your own speed afterwards. Okay, now, back to the tops of these lines here. We're going to carry a line going in the same direction as this bottom line here. So this line is going to go from here, curve it over to this side. So it's going parallel to the bottom line here. And I should mention, this is going to be our iceberg. I'm going to be doing a very basic iceberg at first, and then at the end of the drawing lesson, for anyone who's more advanced and wants to kind of challenge themselves a little bit more, I'm going to be showing a few more techniques to make this drawing look a little bit more advanced. So for now, the iceberg is going to be very kind of generic shaped, and then we'll dazzle it up afterwards. All right, once we have this line here curved, we're going to be going, again, another line, but this line here is going to be going from this side to this side, but in the opposite way. So it's going to come up and down. So now it almost looks as if there's a cup sitting on our, kind of on the top of the water here. And don't worry if it doesn't look exactly like mine, that's okay. This right here, this is the top, don't draw this, but this is the top of the iceberg and this would be the face of the iceberg. So this is the top, looks as if I could rest something down on top of it, and this will be the face of the iceberg. At this point, we can erase the horizon line right here through the face of that iceberg. Erase my little arrow too. How we doing, girls?
How we doing, guys?
Don't go too far.
Don't go too far.
No, it's okay.
Let's see, Buzz. How you doing, Buzz?
Not
Good.
too far.
You got a little bit ahead?
Mine.
Yeah.
Or a little bit.
All right, so we did this lesson before, so that's why they know what to do. What I'm going to get you to do next is we're going to carry this iceberg below the water surface. So these two lines here, indicating the sides of the iceberg, we're going to draw a line down. Both lines going just below the wavy line. So everyone's iceberg, yours might be a little bit skinnier, might be a little bit wider. Just make sure that that line goes down. Not all the way to the bottom, just a little bit below the halfway point. And again, remember, always push lightly. You'll see that I keep going over and over. I'm just pushing lightly. It's just kind of indicating lines. And then we're going to connect the bottom of this iceberg. Now I like to make the bottom of the iceberg look a little bit more jagged. So I'm just going to put some jagged lines connecting one side to the other. Now once you get to this point, back with our eraser again, in between that horizon line and that wavy line that we made, we've got two lines here just below where our cup is. We're going to erase these two lines. Don't go below the wavy line. So just erase that line on this side and this line on this side here. And you can kind of clean up those edges again if you want afterwards. So now what we have is a very kind of generic looking iceberg. Looks like it goes right down through the water. And this is a good example of overlap. So the water looks like it's actually in front of our iceberg here, where we're kind of doing a dissection. So this is a good example of how drawing using just simple lines can give the illusion, that three-dimensional illusion of something kind of going in front. All right. Now we get into the challenging part. We're going to start drawing our polar bear on top of our iceberg. So I've kind of broken it down into the simplest way that I could think of. So what we're going to do, right in the middle of our iceberg, we're just going to draw a line, almost the width of the space. Just a line going across, a horizon line. And we're going to draw a vertical line going up, but just like an L, but a little bit off on an angle. So on a, is it obtuse? It's an obtuse angle, I think.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. For anyone who's
Do you need
math
help?
teachers or math students, correct me if I'm wrong.
Do you need help?
So what you should have is
You're doing good.
a shape that looks like this right now, like a laid back L. Now, we're going to connect the top of this L and the side of this L together with a curved line. So it's almost going to look like a shark fin at the top of your page. So just, you don't have to go back over it and over again. I'm just showing you the angle and the shape that I want you to create. Now I always find it easy. Now that this shape is on top, I'm going to erase the back of the iceberg that's within that shape. Because if you get too many lines inside, it gets a bit confusing. So this is the shape that you should have. All right. Now, within this shape, we're going to use a few ovals and circles to give a basic kind of outline as to what the polar bear is going to be doing. Now, there's method in my madness. The reason I have this shape is because I want the polar bear's shape to look as if it's kind of leaning in over top of the iceberg, looking down. So this is the main body of the polar bear. Now at the top here, what I'm going to get you to do is you're going to draw an oval the size of a grape right at the top, and it overlaps the top of our shape here. So it should overlap, but the angle of the oval should be going in this direction. Don't worry about it if you don't get it exactly like mine, not a big deal. But those little tiny angles that I talk about, say this oval here goes in this angle, you can almost think of it like on a clock. So the oval is pointing to, if you were to think of this as a clock, this is like 1:30 or 2 o'clock. You don't have to worry about that. Get a bit advanced.
You can color, yeah.
Okay. Once you have this oval done, we're going to do another oval that's going to overlap again right around here. Once again, it doesn't have to be exactly like mine, but it's about the size of a grape and it has a little bit more of an angle to it. And I apologize to anyone if I'm going too fast. Just remember, I'll be posting it to my site afterwards and you can rewatch it there if you want to. All right, got a few more of these shapes to do within the body of the polar bear here now. We're gonna be doing the back kind of leg, and he's sitting down here. So what I'm gonna get you to do is just a larger kind of ovalish circle in the bottom right corner of that shape, right around there. So it should be about this big within the shape of that initial shape that we had. It should be about this big. And we're going to go 2 more tiny little circles. The bottom left-hand corner of this shape, we're just going to draw a little circle here. And the bottom corner of this bigger circle here, we're going to do another little circle here.
How you doing, Bob?
I need a sharpener.
Can we get the sharpener? Oh, yeah.
Sharpener right here.
Yep. Let me see.
I'm already coloring.
Good job. Make this back circle a little bit bigger.
Daddy, I'm already coloring. I remember the steps.
Right on.
And now it's in my paint.
Okay, so we've got the general shape of what we want the polar bear to look like. He's kind of leaning in over. Now we're going to use our eraser and we're going to erase some of those lines that we don't need anymore. So for one, within here, all these overlapping circles, I'm just going to erase where they overlap. Like that. And I'm going to erase that side of the circle there where it attaches to the shape and this part here. So it looks like this paw belongs to the back kind of leg, and this paw belongs to this front part of the polar bear. All right, I'll get you to zoom in here when I'm doing this part here, Ken. Now, we're gonna start shaping out these parts. So I'm gonna start kind of chopping some parts out and adding a few parts. So as I'm working here, you can follow along. So this oval here, I'm gonna get you to kind of almost take a bite out of this part of the oval right there. And what I'm doing here is I'm just shaping out the face of the polar bear. So this is kind of the forehead here. This is the snout, and then it comes down like this. Now we want it to look like it has a tuft of kind of hair that comes down this way. So what we're going to do is we're just going to create some kind of jagged lines that go down like this. And whenever I do anything like that, I'll erase that part that I had there before. So it's starting to look a little bit more like the shape of a polar bear. So, back into the top of the head, I'm just going to shape it up towards the back. So his head is here, and this is where the top of his kind of back is. So I'm going to create some kind of jagged lines and leave it like that. Now this polar bear needs an ear, an eye, and a nose for it to look a little bit more like a polar bear. So right back here where we did this indent within that part here to show where the forehead and the snout is, I want you to create like a little, almost like a sideways V, which will give it the look of an eye in the profile. And you can put a little circle there to show where the eyeball is. So a sideways V and a little circle. Now right where the nose is, you can just kind of shape in a little dark area. Give you some time to do that.
How you doing, Ba?
How are we doing?
You need Dad's help?
I'm done.
Good girl.